Hello, and it's Linda Jenna here again with the SBCN TV and Steve Bentley, Northern River Financial. Hello, Steve.
How are you? I'm glad you got that out this week.
Now, Steve was feeling a little bit tired just now, so I'm going to tickle him.
Oh, you can try as much as you want.
To make sure
I'm not really tickled.
Thanks for coming back. It's really nice to see some people coming to see us live. Thank you. We appreciate it. So have you had a nice week, Stephen?
Busy week. This is a very busy time of year for us. But I must say, one of the things I have encountered is I've seen a lot of people talk about this broadcast that we're doing and a lot of favorable responses. So I'm actually encouraged.
Thank God for that. And as we did a couple of weeks ago, we got some email questions and we're hoping to have some live questions. So, Steve, did you want to start the email questions today?
Well, I'm going to start with somebody named Lisa Braun. She has a company in Kitchener called Social Art. She's a painter. I'm a painter. We have a little bit of affinity. But her question sort of was along the line about talking about LinkedIn. And I'm going to just use a bit of a quote here. She says, LinkedIn confuses the heck out of me. You know what, Lisa? There's probably quite a few people that does too. So what she asked for us is to answer the questions on what kind of post should I be doing there? And then is engagement as important on LinkedIn as the other social media outlets?
It's a good question.
So I think people need to first understand what LinkedIn is designed for. And really is designed to be a business-to-business type of networking site and social media site. So a lot of people really should focus on the business. But when you talk about the business, right, you want to talk about what kind of posts, right? So I'm always one for good news stories, right? So where people have some success, where they engage with a new client, or if there's a testimonial, or there's a new product or service, that's a perfect platform for being able to share that. But I think people have to really be careful on what they're sharing, because you want to make sure it makes sense, it's concise, but it's very supportive of your brand and your mission as a company. That's one thing in terms of the kind of posts. I think another thing, which everybody should really engage in, is content, right? Talking about your expertise, talking about problems you solve for clients, talking about ways you feel people maybe should look at things, particularly with respect to your business or the environment that your business is in. So those are two very key kind of posts that I would look at.
And basically, I'm not sure if you're new to LinkedIn, Lisa, or if you've been playing around with it. And if you've been playing around with it, that's excellent, because it's a good way to learn how to do it. And also, watch Steve, is it? Watch Steve.
We're only 2 minutes in.
Haven't even had a drink of wine. So basically, engagement, that's another one of your questions. I think engagement is very important. And so do you, Steve? Otherwise, we'd be sitting here not talking to each other. What is the point?
But I'm going to say this in general about social media, is that engagement is absolutely important on LinkedIn, as you've mentioned, Lisa, on other social media outlets as well. But engagement is only as valuable as you're continuing outside of social media circles to make connection with people, to actually take that engagement personal and actually follow up with people. And I think that's the other thing too. People are afraid to ask questions. People are afraid to post comments. Mm-hmm. People are afraid to engage in conversations on a particular topic. So that's one good way of being able to track and get ability to speak to people. So I think engagement is beyond just social media.
Engagement's really important, but we're looking for the people on LinkedIn that we want to do business with primarily. Mm-hmm. But we're not always going to be able to do business and make those people our clients, but they can help us in many ways. So what I always suggest is to share your connections content. Mm-hmm. If you like it, if you read it, don't just, shower it if blind and not read it, because it could be letting, them down in your reputation. Couple of things I do, Steve, when I'm sharing content on LinkedIn, anywhere actually, I keep my posts different and versatile. Mm-hmm. So some ideas for me would be, I share my personal story a lot. I'm a motivational speaker for one business. For the other business, I help businesses via networking resources. So I share my personal stories. I share Steve's personal stories, Steve's stories about, Northern River Financial. I talk very much about the causes, like, that I support, like cancer, kidney disease, stuff like that. And also motivational quotes, they're very high. People love the motivational quotes because it gives them a buzz. So do you share other people's content too?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think, to touch on a point you said, when you're sharing content, particularly like an article or something like that, and people are guilty of this, but make sure you read it, because you may be surprised that in the context of what's written, there may be something you don't agree with, or that people see you as doing differently. So
That's
it's
a good
important
point.
that you know what you're sharing. I also think it's important to provide some form of commentary, right? Don't just click share. Maybe add a comment, maybe something that's directly applicable to you and what you've drawn out of that article or that post that has a value to you.
And Lisa, everybody out there, make sure you measure the success of the content you're putting out there. And we're going to talk more about content later, because we have another question about that in particular. But first of all, why are you on LinkedIn? Lisa, why are you on LinkedIn, and everybody else out there? You could be working for a large organisation and in between jobs, and you want to find another job, in a large organisation. It doesn't have to be, you've got your own business or networking. So find out why you're on there. Connect to like-minded people, not just people you think you want to be your clients. Share their content, and start a conversation, and then measure. And we talked about this a bit last time. The success of which of your content, your articles, your blog posts are the most popular. And then you know that you're engaging with people.
Well, I think that also gives you a guide, sort of, maybe to paraphrase what you said, in terms of what type of content to share, because you're going to probably share some things that don't have a lot of traction. You may share some things that have a lot of traction. So that gives you a perspective of what is good content for you to share. But I think another important point is, don't try and follow everybody. Don't try and like everything. It's not a click, 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 click kind of approach.
No, it is about,
you be selective of who you want to engage with and who you want to follow. Right?
Saying that about engaging with everybody and connecting with everybody, it's very difficult to say no. So Lisa, what I do, I find out who they are first if they haven't come introduced to me. I do a bit of Googling if I can't, find out, unless I connect to them on LinkedIn, who they are. And then I say, how can I be of assistance? And I really want some traction there, because as I say, it's no good just connecting to people. There are some free courses on LinkedIn that you can
Good point.
check out. You don't have to pay for a LinkedIn, the premium LinkedIn, or any payment at all in the beginning, because you might not like it. Do you find it's beneficial? Have you paid to have a LinkedIn account?
Well, I've had a LinkedIn account for a long time, but the special concept of premium, I was doing for over a year, and I think you've got to look at the benefit of it, right? It is an expensive endeavor, but it has a lot of benefits that potentially will work for you. So I think you need to learn about it. And
try it out first.
You do have usually a month where you can try it for free. So be serious about that month and see how effective it is before you actually can engage to pay for it.
So, what else would I say? What was Lisa asking, basically? So I'd like to know, maybe you can email us, Lisa, or we'll chat when we meet up again, but basically, why does LinkedIn confuse you? Because think of it as any kind of platform that you're comfortable on. It could be Facebook, it could be Instagram, and think of it and use it the way you want to use it. And we've talked about this before. Ignore the noise around you and concentrate on what you want to do. One other trick that I do, Steve, and now I know everybody loves to do this. So if I have a photo taken with, say, Steve and a lot of other people, and I share it on LinkedIn, and I add the names of the people who are there. I share that, so then Steve and all the people in the photo will share it too, and then third-party people are seeing my posts and getting interested in me. So I think that's a trick I've been doing for many years, and how many people emulate that.
So I'll follow up on that to say, it's important to do a couple things. First of all, if you're going to tag somebody on a photo, make sure they're okay with it, number one. But people want to know about you. They want to know what you're involved with. They want to know what kind of person you are.
Excuse me, if you're on social media
you know what?
and you don't want to be tagged,
then you shouldn't be on social media, right?
Stay away from me.
But I think also people like to learn about you. So the different types of things you can share about what you're engaged with and what you're doing, I think people will go online to find out about you before they.
But no, seriously, social media in particular, I get really annoyed when people say, "How did these platforms get my phone number?" Look, you filled in the form. You put your phone number there. I didn't do it.
Type.
And let's not talk about hacking. So, Lisa, I hope we answered your question. Thank you for those of you who are listening and looking and really like it. So, I have a question from a lovely lady, Angela Cafadar, Video Power Up. Basically, it speaks for itself, Angela. You in the business of videos, and you do a lot of good work with the videos. So your question is, with Facebook video and live videos pushed to the top of the news feeds, they're definitely one of the top post types to use. So what type of post on LinkedIn gets the most exposure? So even though I use LinkedIn to my benefit, I did a bit of digging, did a bit of homework, went back in time to see what I'd been doing and how I got started. Mm-hmm. So this is my experiences, tried and tested. I share articles basically, and then I measure the success of what those articles are doing, like I said to Lisa. So I found more success writing the long form post. So that's not the article, where it says click on article. It's your status update. So if you look at your status update, you know what I'm talking about. So what I did for quite some years, I was writing articles and I wasn't getting as much exposure. I was getting interest, but I wasn't getting as much exposure in the sense that, people were sharing them. So I decided to try it the other way. I'm having much more success. So,
but I think that brings up a very important point. You tried a couple different formats.
Oh, yeah, you've got to.
And you've measured it, and you found the ones that work for you, right?
Yeah, and in the olden days, I don't know whether you know this, but the only people who could write the articles were like the people who were like really famous and bigwigs up there, and then they let us little people do it because I think the big people may have got fed up with it. I don't know. Or
they have people writing it for them.
So I find I have a more diverse audience with the LinkedIn updates, the long form ones. So your first sentence has to grab the audience's attention. It really does. If you wait to the last, sentence to try and get them, you're going to lose out for sure. People are scrolling around their LinkedIn feed all the time. And I want to answer this question properly because it's very, very important. So did you know that LinkedIn hosts a community of more than 575 million professionals around the globe? What an audience for you people. So it drives 80% of business-to-business social media leads.
I think that's a very important stat.
Yeah.
Because that just shows the power of LinkedIn for that.
And it's been forgotten for a long time. And we all know Gary Vee. I love Gary Vee to bits. So basically, he's now pushing LinkedIn like crazy. He's done what we've kind of done. Well, I don't know about you. Where did you start? Did you start with Facebook or Twitter?
Facebook, I think that was a traditional one. I think it was back 10 years ago now, right? And then I think I migrated to LinkedIn and then to Twitter. So but they're reasonably within the same time. And I'll tell you why. Because when we decided to go into the social media space, we did some studying. And we decided which ones do we want to get into. And you talk about being confused by social media sites. If you throw Snapchat up there for me, I'm lost. So it's really important to do your homework.
There's no need to do them all.
Well, no, and I think that's the point. Is find the ones that you think are that you're comfortable with. Yeah. And that are going to potentially
don't do them all at once. I think Lisa's wise, and so is Angela. To ask these questions. So today's content marketing strategies have to include various different forms of material, ranging from written posts, which we're talking about, infographics, to videos. Angela, videos. I know they're popular elsewhere, but the native video in particular, I love that word. I found it for you, Angela.
Let me ask you that question. What do you mean by native video?
Well, Angela explained this to me, and also I've been practicing it myself on LinkedIn lately. So a native video will be one that you've actually recorded on your phone, or you've actually uploaded to your computer, and then you're not actually taking it from YouTube. You're actually sending it straight to LinkedIn.
And I think that's so personal that there's a lot of added value in doing that. People can connect a lot easier with that type of communication.
It is, because as it was explained to me, because I don't really do many, I don't do anything, I'll just sit there, look pretty, and people do my videos, but they've got to click from one place to another. So if you're putting it there for them, plus LinkedIn loves you to do it from there. So basically, video is very important, Angela. So Angela's question was, what gets you most exposure? So the fundamental idea behind creating content is to gain the visibility. So we've talked about the infographics, we've talked about the articles, we've talked about the videos. So again, you want to attract people to your brand, Angela. So again, you've got to measure the success of it. And I'll let you jump in a minute, Steve, otherwise I'll forget where I am. So, when you're doing your post, the post we talked about, not the article, share only 1 or 2 sentences because people will get bored. Do you like to read long, Well,
I think it goes back to what you said. If you're not capturing somebody in the first couple lines, then there's no point.
They are
right?
gone.
So those short snippets, I think you have to attract the attention. Then people will be interested to read what you've got.
Oh yeah, phone. Got one in my hand. So do you use this to read your LinkedIn updates?
Depends what I'm doing or where I am, right?
When I'm
it's
out
the
and
most
about,
handy thing to use, obviously, yeah.
But you want to be able to read the updates. You want to make them short and sweet, and you don't want people to just flick past you. So we've talked about the kind of posts I post, Angela. So I'm posting stuff that's not just about me being a motivational speaker or the owner of a networking organisation. I'm sharing content that's of interest to Steve and a very diverse audience for the simple reason I want to attract them to read my post, to share my post, to engage with me, and to maybe become my clients. If I was just sharing on a daily basis, please buy my book, then basically people are not going to be connected to it. Do you see where I'm coming from though, Steve?
Yeah, I think what's important too is if people are sharing your content, that's gold. But you talk about like LinkedIn being confusing. The one thing I find, and maybe I'm just the only one, what I find confusing is that if you're on a desktop, you've got a certain version of LinkedIn, but when you go to a phone or an iPad, there's certain things you can't do. I just wish Facebook would, or certainly LinkedIn would sort of make sure they're all compatible. That's probably the only thing.
Now, the other thing, Angela, and you will love this, I'm very new to this, I don't know about you, Steve, so doing the hashtags. Mm-hmm. So we have a hashtag, as you know, for the TV show. So this is about clicks. So there is a link which I'm not going to read out because it will confuse you all. I'll read a bit of it. Hashtagify me hashtag. Is that TBT?
TBT.
So you can Google it. It's to do with finding a resource so you can find out what hashtags are popular. And if your hashtag is popular, that is good. So we've got SBCN TV, haven't we, Steve? So this is kind of... like it's an infographic. This is the kind of thing, I don't know whether anybody can see it, this is the kind of thing that we were talking about with Angela's question, and maybe Lisa and anybody else out there. Infographics are really popular. Now, why is that, Steve? Why do people like this kind of,
Well,
content?
it's very simple. All your key concepts for your business are all on one page. And they're organized so they're easily to identify the different aspects of the business. It's funny, Arlene Dickinson did something called You Incorporated. And one of the things they did for businesses were they created an info page for you.
Very
so
good.
I had one created, and I love it. But it really is just a quick, short way of identifying very key, specific informational pieces about your business.
So I guess, Angela, to answer your question, at the moment... even more people are jumping on the bandwagon of LinkedIn and using it. So I would suggest that you've been very successful on all your other platforms and you know what you're doing. So don't think of it as a case of, well, should I be doing more content on LinkedIn versus more videos? Why don't you do a bit of both? I always like my first bit of content to kind of tell a story about me so people know I'm very transparent and, I'm not just there about me, I'm about you. And I think you're like that, Steve. You're very personal.
Well, stories are really important in our business, certainly.
But
People can relate to them.
Yeah, I know, for instance, in my business, we're doing more and more videos everywhere, not just on LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. So it's very important, Angela, to know that your content's important, obviously. You've got to have the content out there. And if you are finding it confusing, I did this bit by bit over many years, but there's so many resources out there today that can, help you. Clicks, this is very important. When should you click? So, most clicks and shares on LinkedIn are Tuesdays, believe it or not. I got this from LinkedIn, 11 a.m. till 12 p.m. The worst time for LinkedIn, sleeping hours.
I wonder why.
Depends.
Although maybe not me sometimes.
10 p.m. till 6 a.m. immediately before Monday and after Friday night. Best times to post, 7 to 8 a.m., 5 to 6 p.m. Peak time of use during an average day, 12 p.m., 5 to 6 p.m. Now, we're in Canada, and I've got clients all over the world, so, I kind of don't fit in to a certain time frame, do you?
But what's interesting, if you look at the best times to post, are 7 to 8 a.m. in the morning, 5 to 6 at night. And why do you think that is? Because as soon as people get up in the morning, they're going through their social media feeds. When they're finished their business day for normal, their 9 to 5 kind of business, they're checking their social feeds, so that's why you're getting a lot of activity in that particular time frame. So.
Well, I do need to say that, sometimes if we're a bit too rigid with the best time to do something, we might miss an opportunity. So again, this is interesting, but try and fit it into what you want to do as well. And
right,
what
because
works
every
for you.
business is different. Everybody is sharing different information, and you're talking about regional time zones and stuff. So you need to, again, but that's going back and measuring the content when it's posted, when you're finding the best opportune times for your particular situation.
So what we're all looking for from LinkedIn is leads, and leads lead to lots of stuff. I like that. So basically, I wouldn't be impatient, because it's about trust again, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
If people on LinkedIn, I mean, I have people coming to me and they connect with me and they say, will you buy my widget, in a private message, and I don't even know who they are or what the widget is, and I find that kind of...
Well, I'll say rude.
Rude.
They don't know you. It's a
How do they know I need to...
pretty upfront question that I don't think is appropriate.
So for anybody who's confused about LinkedIn, would you, when you're walking outside along the street, buy a widget from a stranger? No. So why would you buy a widget from a stranger private message?
Right.
LinkedIn is going to get bigger. LinkedIn is going to get, better. LinkedIn has a lot to offer it. But I would say if you are confused, ask me or Steve, research and keep using it. You can't really... Unless you're doing something desperately wrong, you can't really ruin your reputation on LinkedIn.
No, right? But at the same time, if you're not careful, it's so quick to ruin a reputation on social media, right?
Give us an example how maybe that could happen.
Well, I'll just say, let's say you have a bad client experience, and all of a sudden the client... You see it a lot, like in restaurant pages and stuff, where somebody says, I've had a horrible meal on a Facebook post.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it goes so viral, and a lot of people start really taking offense with that particular restaurant. But maybe that's not fair. There's two sides of that equation, so you really got to be careful. I remember we have a local business who had one negative comment from one of the catering events they did, but they got the whole family in there to say the same thing, and that just creates a devastating message when it wasn't really true.
Yeah, that was nasty. I do use social media, Twitter in particular, to contact people who aren't contactable by phone, but I do it in a really nice way, and I say, please can I private message you? I'll give you an example as well. We always stay in the same hotel. I'll give them a plug. The Omni in Montreal. It's on Sherbrooke Street. We stay there every time when we go to Montreal for business. Dave's got an office around the corner. And basically, I guess there was something wrong with the bathroom. And I said, could somebody have a quick look at it? I'm just going to go and meet a client. And unfortunately, they couldn't fix it properly. And they said, we're going to have to come back. And I said, it's okay, I'm not impatient. And then they did fix it, but it wasn't fixed properly. And I go, it's not fixed. I'm not impatient, but it's a bit irritating. Could you have not done this before, we gained access to the room? And I said, it's okay then, make it better for the next person. And guess what happened later that night? I sent up some wine and some fruit and some cheese. I didn't ask for it,
right.
but it was lovely.
But think of the message that shares. Okay, I had a bad experience or something happened. It's how they deal with it. Because that's how you're going to communicate.
I share that.
Exactly.
I share that because I think we're always saying bad things. We're not saying good things. And I think we should stop slamming people and think of the good things they've done. The other thing is, though, don't offer me a free meal or a free Timmy's or a gift certificate, because I want to make it better for the next customer.
Right.
Yeah. A lot of this doesn't go on. I don't think this goes on LinkedIn, though. I think it's more the Twitter and the Facebook, isn't it?
Right.
Platforms.
Right.
So do you think we answered some questions today about LinkedIn? It's very difficult to do a really concise LinkedIn,
Well, sure, but I think you come back to the fact there's a lot of online resources that can take you step by step through LinkedIn, how to use it, give you ideas on content. So it's just a matter of just spending some time on the internet, and you'll find a lot of great content.
So I'm guessing when Angela said post, she does mean the content. Mm-hmm. So in your case, Angela, just to finish on your question, I would say if you're definitely new to LinkedIn or you're still trying it out, try and open up your world a bit, look at who your different connections are. Share a bit of your story, the why, the how, the things like that, and get to know, who your connections are and see how you can help them and post stuff that will interest them as well. And I can guarantee you'll be having 1,000 likes, 2,000 likes, and you'll have people emailing you and saying, want to work with you, Angela, because that's how it works for me, and I'm sure it's
one of the ones I find that works very powerfully for us is our social engagement. So if we're involved in a charitable event or supporting a cause, we're sharing the success of that organization, not so much that we're there. That gets a lot of traction. It really gets a lot of traction. It supports you in a way, but it also supports the strength of the LinkedIn community to help local charities, local businesses. So I think people should take that.
And you know,
note.
I've said this a lot, and I'll say it again, we're not experts. I'm not dissing Steve, and I'm not dissing myself, but because LinkedIn has changed ridiculously fast over the past however many years it's been around, nobody can be an expert in anything. So what we do, we use it, we try it out, we learn, and that's what I say everybody should do. So we can help each other, but nobody's ever going to be an expert on anything, not even LinkedIn.
Well, I think one of the things about LinkedIn that I like, it doesn't change as drastically as some of the other sites. You look on Facebook every day, not to ditch Facebook, but all of a sudden there's stories. And there's watches, and I'm thinking, what is all this stuff? They're just trying to give different tools for people to use, but it can get confusing. LinkedIn is pretty good. They do make a lot of changes, but they're not immediate, and they usually get people
But
notice.
we can also change the way we use these resources, and it doesn't mean we're experts. It's just that we found a way to drink our coffee. That's a good analogy, because some people drink the coffee in a coffee shop, and some people drink the coffee at home or in the office. So,
or drink too much coffee.
Or drink too much coffee, or too much wine. So, Steve, I've got to turn around to you before we finish, because you are absolutely fantastic coming to my studio and taking the time to do SBCN TV. And you're our sponsor again, our digital sponsor. So, again, we want to thank Northern River Financial and you. And do you want to leave a little message for our viewers?
Well, I think SBCN TV is a perfect example of how video or live streaming or using that personal connection where people can actually engage with you is a powerful tool, and we're getting a lot of traction, a lot of support for SBCN TV. One of the things I like about supporting the digital side of the networking group is that's where things are going. You know, and all the tools we use. I mean, we do a television show. We do this. It's all
radio.
Very radio as well. It's all a powerful. So there you go. But all of them have some kind of direct engagement with people, and so for us, being the digital sponsor means we're using tools and being available to use tools that are leading edge.
Yeah. And also, we've got different skill sets. I really admire your skill set, because you've changed a lot over the years, whereas I've been pretty static with the two businesses. I've changed a lot of my skill set, but I can't believe you used to be like in the Navy and you used to drive a ship. I mean, that's quite amazing.
That's a long time ago.
I know, but I'm guessing that's helped you in your businesses in some way.
Well, sure. You know, the biggest part is going and being a military officer and going to the Royal Military College of Canada. There's a lot of skills that are developed and have to be learned to be successful in that environment. And they permeate, and they've been part of my life ever since.
And women like a man in uniform. So what we're hoping is we get a bit more traction and more people. We've got a few people live tonight, but again, we'd love more questions from you. Email the questions. We've got a great website, and you'll see pictures of me and Steve there. And we have a fun time, don't we, Steve?
We do, and I think more people are engaging. You know, everybody's got a busy life, too, so be able to dedicate themselves to watch this. The beauty of this is we're live streaming right now, sure, but then it's going to be on our YouTube channel, SBCN TV, so people can watch it in the time that they've got available to watch it. I think they'll learn some things.
So what I'm going to do, Steve, because we had two awesome questions from two awesome people. This is my very first book that actually catapulted my success. And base, I'm going to it's the second edition, give a copy of this to Angela and a copy to Lisa for emailing in some questions. I think they were fabulous questions, and we hope we helped you. And we're going to be doing this every couple of weeks, SBCN TV. Look at the schedule, and we'll try and come up with some more giveaways for you. But I guess what I will leave with you is, however you decide to use LinkedIn, don't feel confused. Think of it as something that is going to help your business. It's going to help your exposure.
I also think people, if they are confused or having challenges with it, ask. There's a lot of people out there that can gladly give you some information and pointers. Even talk to other people who use LinkedIn and find out what works for them and what doesn't.
And we all use it in a different way. You see, I'm a very conversational kind of person, so I do converse more on there. And it is fine not to have as many conversations as you do on Facebook, but you've got to get to know your connections. Otherwise, how do you know you can help them? And that is the key. We're here to help people, not sell to strangers.
The other thing I'll leave in terms of LinkedIn is don't be afraid to choose some kind of post and just put it out there. See what kind of response you're getting. Test it. It may be surprising that people will like it, maybe people won't, but it's one way of saying, well, should I put that out there? Well, let some other people give you feedback. And I think
And
sometimes it's a
we've both
helpful thing.
posted on LinkedIn today, I noticed, Steve, about the show.
Yeah.
And we've both had people liking it
Yeah.
and sharing it, and we can see how many people are doing that. So we know we're getting some traction. But we did keep it short and sweet. We did have a hashtag on there, which definitely helps. And I guess tomorrow morning I'll be back on LinkedIn bright and early. How about you?
I've got an early meeting right through until 10 o'clock tomorrow night. But that's it's just time of year in our business, so we've got a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
to
it
go,
is a busy time of year. So again, goodbye from Steve and myself from SBCN TV. It's been lovely connecting with you again, and we'll see you next time.
See you in 2 weeks.